viewers, welcome to yet another program of the Economic Briefcase. I'm your host, Noah Njapau. Today in the studio with me, I have my co-host, Mr. Kingford Kalobi. How are you, Mr. Kingford Kalobi?
Very well, Noah. Good to be here.
How's been the week?
The week has been hectic, busy, and very productive. Yeah.
So today with us in the studio is someone who's going to help us digest this topic of debt restructuring, the IMF, and everything associated. We know that countries borrow for different reasons. Mostly this is for capital investments in the economies and so on. But there are instances where now this debt becomes unsustainable and it becomes a burden. And there will be need to go through the process of restructuring. So in the studio today with us is Mr. Naila Kopa.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
So before we go into the nitty-gritties of the show, let's go through the capital markets or the market update. So the average exchange rates as of today, the 15th of June, let's look at how the kwacha has been doing against the four major currencies. The kwacha against the dollar closed selling at 19 kwacha, 14 ngwe. Against the pound, closed selling at 24 kwacha, 36 ngwe. The euro closed selling at 20 kwacha, 19 ngwe. The rand closed selling at 1 kwacha, 5 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by a day. Aluminium closed selling at $2,200 per ton. Copper closed selling at $8,457 per ton. Zinc closed selling at $2,450 per ton. Lead closed selling at $2,147 per ton. Tin closed selling at $27,100 per ton. Nickel closed selling at $22,155 per ton. Crude oil prices, WTI crude closed selling at 69 kwacha, 34 ngwe. Brent crude closed selling at 74 kwacha, 29 ngwe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Once more.
Yeah, thank you.
The issue at hand, debt restructuring, the IMF. Our viewers might not know. Of course, most of us have heard this word, the IMF, debt restructuring.
Yes.
What is it?
The debt restructuring is trying to ask the creditors so that the big installment that we will be paying, if we were paying, is reduced. Or we borrow cheaper money and replace that money with replace the expensive money which we currently owe them with the cheaper money. All we want is, because as you know, we defaulted, so we'd love to negotiate so that the installment that we were supposed to be paying is reduced.
Okay.
Yeah, either that is reduced or we replace that expensive money, because every time you keep someone's money, there is interest that is being charged. So it's a question of how you agreed, what is the interest rate. So if we go to the lender whose interest rate is lower, then we borrow there, we use the same money to pay off the expensive lender, then it will be much better.
And in all this, how does the IMF actually?
The IMF is there to support us. Initially, why we went to the IMF, we wanted our credibility to be better, because we defaulted. So creditors would feel much better if at all we are working with the IMF. IMF would want us. If the IMF lends us money and they put measures of how we are going to conduct our fiscal, how do we spend, how do we behave as we use our money, then creditors at least will be, there will be that feeling that someone is watching on their behalf.
What really leads to a point where, of course, sovereign debt is both foreign and domestic?
Domestic, yes.
Domestic.
Yeah.
Now, there are a number of things that can be done before reaching
default.
Yes, before reaching default or before reaching a point where restructuring debt can be considered.
Yeah.
Other avenues exhausted, like economic reforms, fiscal adjustments. Have all these been exhausted? At what level are we at?
We defaulted. Probably we defaulted because we didn't plan properly. So where we are, we've already passed the other stages. We're in the stage whereby you are not paying and you want to resume payment. That's where we are. I think as we are getting this money, we didn't plan much on how we are going to repay the loans when they become due. You talk of the Eurobond. The Eurobond was borrowed mainly to revive the Zambia Railways, but we didn't see that working out. The money was spent anyway. And there was heavy borrowing on infrastructure. Yes, we needed infrastructure, but we didn't need to borrow so much for them. They could have waited. Yeah. Now we feel we are failing to pay the creditors. And really, when you fail to pay your creditors, means that your debt rating is very poor. Other people cannot invest in the country. So investors are just sitting on the fence, waiting to see how we are going to resolve these debt issues. Only then will they release the money that we need to develop as a country. They won't open the industries that we need to create jobs because they don't know what is going to happen to us. And as when you defaulting, the people that were supposed to, the next prospective lenders that are going to give you money, they will charge you higher interest because you are not creditworthy. Yeah. So
as this process is going on, because as at now we can see that's stalled, and of course there's a lot of talk around it. And what are the major challenges? What are the challenges?
The information is not released fully and frequently, but we suspect the challenges. They want to treat every data equally. Then other data like China, they are saying, can the IMF and World Bank also be, the World Bank and other Western lenders, they want China to shed more of its debt, to give more of forgiveness to Zambia, while them they are not willing to do the same. And China is saying, you guys are mouth lenders, can you lend these poor countries so that they pay us? So them they are saying, can you forgive this country? Then China is saying, no, we can't forgive. Why can't you lend them the much what they can pay us? And also it's a challenge. Although the information is not in public domain, it's just the way we feel. Look, for private lenders, you need to, your fiscal should be in a way that it shows that you are remorseful for the situation that you are failing to pay creditors. The way we do our expenditure as a country must be seen to be in line with the way where we are. We are in default. And there should have been some of the expenditure that we have done should not have happened in the time that we are in default. That is the way private lender is thinking. Government lenders is okay, they don't care much about how their debtors are behaving, but if you're a money manager and somebody you lent money is spending in a way that doesn't show that is remorseful, that is failing to pay you, it will be difficult to agree on forgiveness.
Or just a fund manager managing private money.
Yes, yeah.
Very difficult to go to your client and say, okay, we are experiencing this.
Yes. We want to write off some of the debt belonging to this person because this person is not paying us. But they look at how this person is not paying you is behaving. How is he spending his money? So all those are factors that when combined, they are delaying the process of restructuring the debt.
Just there. Very interesting. So the big question in the room is debt bad? What is good debt and bad debt for Zambia in the context that you just explained?
No, the debt is not bad, but you must only contract debt that is not bigger than you are. You should only contract a debt that can sit on your balance sheet. Don't overdo it. And when you do contract debt, it must be used in a way that is going to increase your capacity to earn revenue, so that you are able to repay the debt. Now, in our case, our capacity to earn revenue, our GDP, didn't increase much compared to the debt that we got. Probably, when it was increasing, when the debt was gotten, it was directly increasing because of the debt that we got. We use that debt to build something, and you put that into GDP calculation, then you see some growth. But those buildings were one-off. You build a school today and you include it in your calculation of GDP. Next year you won't build that school. So it wasn't taken into revenue generating areas like agriculture, tourism, so that when the time comes to repay the debt, we don't struggle as a country. And you cannot go and start borrowing at 10% when you somewhere you can borrow at 2% as a country.
So when you look at those investments that you've mentioned, what are some of the alternatives that would have been considered to be good investments?
We should have expanded on agriculture as well as tourism and many other areas that would give us money, not just building. Look at the money we are using to build the airports. Honestly, visitors will still come even if we had that old Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. Visitors would still come. There was no need to borrow and do that. If you had put that money into agriculture, you could have been better off.
So when you look at our domestic market, especially when we look at the exchange rate, the kwacha has been fluctuating, I think, in the recent times. Been volatile, for lack of better terms. Is this coming from the...
The kwacha is, unfortunately, the cause of the inflation mainly. Why the kwacha is depreciating mostly is because we don't have enough foreign currency in the country, and also due to sentiments. Though the sentiments that come due to our failure to restructure the debt in time or quickly do not impact much on the exchange rate. But what does impact much on our exchange rate is the lack of enough forex. We do not have the dollars, and surprisingly, we do not have the dollars at a time that we are on a holiday. We are not paying most of our dollar creditors. So we don't know what is going to happen the day that we restructure the debt, because you are paying zero now. Then you say let's restructure, you start paying probably 25% of what we are paying, still more. The outflow is going to increase. So we have to have a lot of dollar outlay, a lot of dollar be sent out, and then very little is going to come. What is going to come is not going to come immediately. The debt is restructured. Investors will have to make the plans. They have to do the signing of it. Maybe the dollars will start coming a year or two later after the debt is structured. But immediately the debt is structured, we start paying the creditors. Dollars start going out. So if we start paying away the dollars, we don't know where the exchange rate is going to be. It's only going to be better after dollars start coming, by investors start bringing in dollars. But they won't start bringing dollars immediately. Why we'll start paying the debt immediately? You see the imbalance. So the exchange rate is still going bad because we don't have the dollars, and the mines, they are not banking the dollars which they get from copper sales. It's banked abroad. So we have the mines, but and we are saying that the major dollar earners, but the dollars are not coming here.
Would this be a chance to put a cap on how much money is supposed to be going out?
No. What should happen is you don't have to force them. All you need to do is put an SI, request them to bank, say maybe 25% of every dollar, 25 cents of every dollar in Zambia for 6 months. Then you say we'll give you an incentive by reducing your income tax rate. Most of them will opt in because that is money.
They already have enough incentives
Yes.
when it comes to taxes.
No. The incentives that they have are not related to them keeping the dollars in the country. You see, the incentive they have is to invite more investors come. Even if you are saying that when they will restructure the debt, more investors will come. Even those investors that are going to come, they will still take the money outside the country, unless you put such an SI. So for us to get enough dollars to stabilize the exchange rate, we need a lot of money to come in so that a lot of people are employed, so that as they bring money for working capital, they is sufficient enough to have an impact on the exchange rate.
Mr. Kopakopa, just there. In terms of the exchange rate,
Yeah.
as my colleague has put it,
Yeah.
the central bank plays a bigger role in terms of managing the monetary policy.
Yeah.
When we start repaying our creditors,
Yeah.
what role do you think the central bank will play, and what should they be thinking about in the meantime, before the debt is restructured? What interventions should they be thinking around?
They can only do so much, because what they normally do is they release the dollars on the market so that we have a high supply of the dollars. The high supply we have, then the lower the exchange rate. So, but they don't have an infinite source of dollars. You get it? Yeah? Of course, they receive dollars from the mines in taxes, but those dollars are needed to purchase a lot of things that the government imports. So they can only do so much because they are limited by how wealthy they are. So what is needed really is to have the dollar inflow not only from the central bank, but from businesses. Businesses which are being the exporters, the mines. Now you let the mines bank the money abroad, and it's not helping us. The only money that comes is the tiny amount that they need for working capital. And that's what is the exchange rate is what is disturbing the inflation. It's not it has nothing to do with the cost of money, which the Bank of Zambia always reverts to. Yeah.
So earlier you had mentioned about private lenders. So in this restructuring, private lenders are not participating.
They are only that the amount that they are owed is not as big as China, but they are part of the process. But each lender has got his or her own views. The attitudes are different, and the problem is that you want to put different types of lenders together. Those lenders, they lend for different motives, and their attitudes are different. The government to government is simpler, but if you go to a private company and borrow, they won't be as flexible as the government would be. And them, they are looking at they're taking the country as a business. This country is generating how much revenue, and where does this revenue go? Would it be better if they took this revenue to this area? These are private lenders. They are very astute compared to government lenders.
So when we categorize like what is being done on the let's say domestic markets or domestic lenders and what's being done with our
No. We are just talking about the international dollar lenders, but there are also local lenders. The local lenders have not been paid. I think the figure was above 200 billion, but about 10 billion was allocated in the budget. Now look at the money that they are owed and the money that is intended to pay them. There is so much, a big disparity. Of course, when the government earns revenue, the fact that that revenue finishes is spent in the country. But it would be better if at all the businesses, they get a share of that money, because them they are more able to multiply that money. We're not saying the money is kept somewhere, because it's not there. The money is used anyway, even if the creditors are not being paid. But if we give the creditors the money, than say giving this constituent CDF, the money will grow if you're given to the companies that are in business, than those people that are being forced to be in business. That's where we are missing it. And of course, there is a talk of cleaning. Some are suspected to be not honest, but it cannot take 5 years to clean up. You identify those that are not genuine, you punish them. Those that are genuine, you pay them so that they continue employing people and running the business.
And there was news on there's news that the World Bank is giving how much is that to
about 200, to increase. No. I think this CTF is, as much as we're not condemning, it's a good thing. But this money would be better used if it was given to CEC. They lend the struggling businesses. We are forcing people to be in business using CTF. But we've got people that have got no capital and they're already in business. Why can't we empower people that are willing to do business? If you give those people who are willing to do business at a reasonable interest rates, definitely productivity of that money will be higher than giving to someone in Chango, to force someone in Chango to be in business.
But Mr. Kopakopa, just there, encouraging private sector participation and growing the SME is very important for any economy.
Yes.
Don't you think the CDF is actually achieving that objective by encouraging new startups to...
No, it does, except that not everybody who is getting CDF wants to be in business. But you've got businesses that are not doing well, are not simply doing well because the economy is bad. And they need capital. When they go to the bank, they are told, can you bring this heap of documentation and we're going to charge you 30%. If they went to CEC and they charge 10%, with less documentation, they would grow. There are a lot of people that are accessing CDF, not because simply because someone has told them to do so. Someone is actually forcing them, can you come and get CDF? But we've got people, the business that are struggling because they have no capital. Some have no capital, not because they misuse the money, not that they invested in government tenders and they have not been paid. Yeah.
So you are free to participate. You can dial the numbers that are scrolling on your screen. You can send us a message or you can give us a call and contribute to the show, ask your questions. So when we look at policy formulation, or has any policy been devised apart from Bank of Zambia Act being amended when it comes to the issue of debt, so that we don't end up in this situation that we are in right now? Has anything been done apart from that?
We haven't seen any laws really being passed with the coming of the new government. There are very few, not very important laws. Like you look at the information in the public domain is that the motivation for us acquiring such a huge debt was because there was an opportunity there was no accountability for the money that we got. And we haven't seen the zeal from the new government to enact laws that are going to deter who would be plundered of national sources. You see, everyone wants money, and if he knows that even if I steal $100 million, I'll be taken to court, I'll be on bond. From one court, maybe I'll take 2 years, the other court 3 years, the other court 5 years. So I'll be enjoying my freedom for the next 10 years. Probably I'll be jailed after 10 years. And the sentence that they'll give me is prescribed is probably 5 years. And I've got the 100 million with me. I mean, which one is better? Anyone would want to have 100 million because the punishment is very light.
Very true.
Yes.
Yeah, so my next question is around debt restructuring and IMF. Is there an alternative to restructure our debt without IMF? Is it possible?
No.
Do it?
IMF actually is no longer relevant because even in the money that they are giving, the loan they are giving us is now dependent on us moving forward with the creditors. But when we engaged the IMF, we felt the IMF, when they give us that money, they are going to help us persuade the creditors so that we restructure the debt. Now IMF is waiting for the creditors to say something before they can release the money. So the creditors have not respected the presence of the IMF. It has no meaning. That's why they are not agreeing. IMF is not playing any role. Yes. Actually, so IMF is holding the money because the creditors are not agreeing. But it was the other way around when they came in.
So are you suggesting or implying that IMF is just playing a role of a godfather?
Yes. Probably when they finally do restructure the debt, IMF is going to help us, live in an orderly way as creditors. But it's not helping us to convince the creditors to restructure the debt, which was in the first place the reason why I went to IMF.
So China being our largest creditor amongst the debt block that we have, between the West and China, who do you think is the better friend to Zambia and really African countries that has?
No, China is, look, we're not going to start pointing fingers at how much they are giving who. Look, our debt is not big. Our debt is just about 17 official debt, although it could be $30 billion. There are a lot of money that is being given to countries, especially countries that war. If the West loved us the way they say they love us, I mean, they would say, we are giving you $5 billion. Yes. Now China gave us the money in good faith. Someone should not dictate to them that today China should write off when him doesn't want to give us a cent. You see, so China is our friend, but we're not saying other people are not. They are also our friends, but not as much as China is. And it's very easy to get money from China when you are in need than from other countries.
So in short, you're suggesting then probably our leaders, the government, should be speaking more to China than the West?
Yes, they should speak more to China because we owe China. We owe China about a third of our debt belongs to China. And we see no reason why we should be speaking more to IMF or World Bank when we don't owe them as much as we owe China.
When we're speaking about IMF, what comes to my mind is the conditions, the preconditions that...
No. IMF has reformed. Those conditions they were giving, they no longer give them to countries. We thought...
the extended credit facility, did it come with any conditions?
No, it never came with conditions because we gave ourselves conditions before the IMF came. Because we thought IMF was going to give us conditionalities. But IMF says, actually IMF and the World Bank, they're encouraging countries to subsidize energy because the cause of the miseries the countries are going through now is partly due to energy costs. The fuel cost has gone up, the coal and so on. And IMF and the World Bank are saying, can you subsidize this? We chose not to subsidize because we thought that's what IMF and the World Bank is going to say. Yeah.
So when we look at this issue, I know you're a financial analyst, and when we look at our markets, our financial markets, our capital markets, how have they been affected, really? Because, of course, failure to reach agreement is, well, a bad sentiment.
Yeah.
How is this affecting?
The foreign prospective buyers of our securities are not participating. Even the buyers of our treasury bills from abroad, the number of buyers from abroad has gone down. And it's one of the reasons why we are suffering on the exchange rate. Because before, when the settlements were good, you would find that people from Washington would participate and buy our bonds. Now they're not buying the bonds because they don't know where we're going to be, how we're going to treat our debt restructuring. Yeah. So our financial market is being affected. In fact, that in the sense that the foreign participants are not coming. Only the locals are buying the talk of shares. We're just exchanging shares among ourselves, not the people with dollars to come and buy our shares. Yeah.
Director, are there any messages? Any messages, Director? Okay.
Mr. Kopakopa,
Yeah.
in terms of debt restructuring, vis-a-vis our fiscal discipline, do you think our creditors are also monitoring how disciplined we are with our fiscal policies?
Yes, especially the private creditors. They scrutinize how we spend our money and they relate how we spend our money to our situation. There are a lot of things that we would have done on our expenditure if we are supposed to, if we really intended to please the creditors. A lot of things could have waited. Yeah.
Like the roads could have waited?
The roads could have waited. Even the expansion of the civil safes, it could have been done in phases. Or it could have been done after we agree on our debt restructuring, at least to please the creditors. Yeah.
So, I think we have a caller.
Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello? Oh, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling from? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mukandawire is my name, and I'm calling from Luansha.
Okay, go ahead and make a contribution, Mr. Mkandawire.
Yeah, one is the observation in terms of our best there, which is how remorseful are we in terms of how where we are taking our money when in that case we are not paying our debt. So I'm thinking now, here is the civil service. We are employing 80,000 teachers, 11,000 people in the health sector. Now, how does the creditor look at that? And we're talking about employing even some more. Is this where money should go? Is that prudent enough? Or how do the creditors look at that? Number two, here we are. This country is endowed with the with gold, rather. Now, why can't we do the barter system where we pay our debt using just the gold that we have? Why can't we take that gold to China and pay our debt? Thank you so much.
Yes, there are 2 points. As I've said, it's not being responsible enough. You owe somebody, then you're spending on the things that you could have avoided. Every debtor wouldn't be happy. Then on the gold, we are not mining gold. Of course, there is a story of Kasenseri gold mine. We don't know why we haven't gone there and make that mine big. Because honestly, we're struggling to pay the credit. We don't have the money. If we had the gold, we can sell the gold and pay the creditors. So we don't know why the mine is not working, or maybe the depots are not big enough. They are not economical for us to invest money and start mining. Yeah. Otherwise, it would be good that we mine and then pay off our creditors.
There's ZCCM.
Gold, yeah?
Gold.
Yes. We don't know what that company is doing. Probably the reserves are not, they're not economical to warrant investment. Or it's just a decision of those who are supposed to make the decision and start it, make it run. Yeah, we know the company was formed, but we're not interested about the company being. We want to see the company producing.
I mean, there was a big announcement.
Yeah,
The company was made, but in terms of results,
Hasn't been much,
Look, if we took the money we give to CDF to that place, if that place is economic, I mean, we could make money than we are making from CDF. Yeah.
There have been numerous suggestions suggesting that we should start stockpiling
The gold.
The gold.
Yes, we can if we mine it, but we're not mining it. It starts, let us mine the gold, let us divert money from other areas. If we don't have the working capital, you mine the gold, then you start stockpiling it, you sell it and then pay off the creditors.
So much talk about the mining and all. I think in your earlier remarks, you had referred to part of the monies that Zambia's borrowed could have been channeled to agriculture and other sectors.
Yes, yes.
What would you advise the government and those that are watching from the government in terms of?
I think we have a caller. Hold your thought. Yes, where are you calling from? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
From Soweto.
Okay, go ahead and make your contribution. Are you there? I think we've lost.
Yeah, we lost the call.
Yeah. So, what would be your advice to the responsible officials in terms of agriculture, more investment into agriculture, and also in addition to another thing that you mentioned was investment in tourism?
Yeah.
Because we are seeing that despite having good mineral resources in the country, we're not earning much more from there. So
because we're not owning the mines.
So diversifying the economy.
Of course there is the FISP which is already being spent. If this FISP was, you remove the 50% of this FISP from peasant farmers, you take it to ZNS. You empower ZNS to produce on a large scale for the country. Then those people, farmers that you give FISP, you help them market the produce. The way they did now, they increased the price of maize to 280 per 50 kg. That was good, but it shouldn't end there. All the crops that the farmers grow, they must be helped to export them. Because what is happening now is the traders that are benefiting, they go and buy the beans or the maize from the poor farmer, they export it. And when they make the profit, they have no intention of bringing that money back into agriculture.
Hello?
Hello?
What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Silomba.
Silomba?
Yeah, Silomba. I'm calling from Kapiri.
Okay, you can go ahead and make a contribution, Mr. Silomba.
Yes, just a question to the gentleman. Just on the program in the middle. The gentleman in the middle.
Mr. Kopa.
Yeah. What measures do you think the government needs to put in place to restructure the debt? Or rather, do you think the government should look from within instead of going or looking outside?
Is that?
Because as we know about a lot of minerals, we have got a lot of minerals in Zambia, and just have to rush, take advantage of those minerals.
So I think this.
What is the take on that?
I think this comes back to the question that was earlier asked. Alternatives, domestic alternatives. What can we do?
We need to start mining, not investors mining, us mining. Then when we get the minerals, we sell them and pay the creditors. We are looking outside because the creditors that we are talking about are from outside. We are not talking much about the local creditors. So why we are talking about outside? Because the creditors are outside, they are dollar creditors. But we can pay them if at all we put the dollars. We can have the dollars if we start mining, not giving license to multinationals to mine, because they won't give us the money. They will just give us the money to pay the salaries and also their share of tax, which is not enough.
So in short, definitely we should increase our exports. We should increase dollar earning.
Yes, our dollar earning. Currently, even if we increase the tonnage of the copper we're producing, our dollar earning won't be as much because the dollars don't come here except for working capital. So if we mine the gold on our own, at least we are sure that all the dollars are going to come back. Okay. Yeah.
So now, the alternative of agriculture has been talked about so many times, neglecting
agriculture.
our God-given natural resource of minerals.
Yeah.
Of course, agriculture is key.
Yeah.
But when you look at countries that have resources such as oil, and when you see who is who in that country, the billionaires,
they are better.
They deal in the core natural resource of that country.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and all these other countries that have got oil. Even Botswana has what, diamonds. And that's their main source of revenue, and maybe actually their people participate. The locals participate in mining activity. Then here we are always talking about agriculture. Why not get into
mining? Mining is expensive.
Capital intensive.
The capital intensive, and I think when we were running the CCM, because I think we started running the CCM on our own in 1978. I think we didn't pay much attention on exploration. So the mineral body that we were getting the copper from was getting depleted. It wasn't giving us enough copper because we are not expanding the life of the mine. Until when we gave the mines away to multinationals, then they started finding the minerals like Lumwana. Lumwana just started now, and there are many companies that have come after we gave away the mines. So mining is expensive compared to agriculture. Those countries that are doing better on natural resources is because the countries themselves, they invested in the mining. We are not investing in the mines ourselves. We have stopped investing in the mines because we failed to run the mines. So if we had the capital, yes, it would be good for us to go back and mine and sell the minerals on our own, but don't have the capital to do that. So the only share now we get is the taxes from those who are running the mines.
Which also have their concessions.
Yes, which have concessions. But there is mineral road tax which they are paying. Yeah.
So would you advocate for, just in line with, in fact, you mentioned that multinationals are mining.
Yeah.
Would you advocate for a consortium of Zambian investors, home-bred investors, to venture into mining? And would you see a turnaround in terms of...
No. There are Zambians that are currently holding mining licenses, and they are investing according to their capacity, But you cannot make a mine run without sufficient capital. Licenses are all over. There are a lot of Zambians, but we are waiting for them to start mining. The question why they are not mining is the capital that is not there. Yeah, and you cannot say the way Botswana is saying, you fail to explore, to expand the ore body that you've discovered, and bring multinationals to explore. They find the mineral, then you said you want to get 51%. But what happens if you get 51% means that you are getting the controlling interest. You make every decision. Whether you want to donate to a political party now, you'll be donating, the other shareholders will have no say. And they won't agree to invest in such an operation. Yeah.
You are watching the Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. Director, do we have any messages? Good evening, panel. Mr. Kopa. You mentioned something on the country not paying its debt. How bad or good will it be once the debt is restructured? Mumba Kitwe.
In the short term, when the debt is restructured, it won't be good for exchange rate and the economy, because the money is going to go away. But in the long term, investors are going to come and bring in more dollars. So in the short term to be bad. Of course, our name would have been cleared, but the dollars would have gone through paying the debt. And that could maybe take 3 years that we will not have the money. Our exchange rate is going to suffer. But once the investors start bringing in more money, then that problem will be sorted out. That's what people don't seem to know. You are not paying somebody and you're complaining that you are broke. You don't have the money. What more when you start paying your creditors?
To be worse.
It will be worse. But the way what is being presented is that we are struggling because because of our debt. But how is our debt affecting us? It's not taking the money away.
Because we're not paying.
We're not paying.
We're not paying yet.
Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It will affect you when you start repaying it.
So, apart from, of course, there's capital investment that's needed in the economy. There's infrastructure investment that's needed.
Yeah.
And we've seen initiatives being taken, such as PPPs.
Yeah.
Which is a good, recommendable
Yes.
thing. First, maybe you can comment on the PPPs, and then we can mention the other things that are being done at the moment to actually preserve money from the coffers from going into these investments.
I think PP is good. Yeah? It's very good because you don't have the capital. And some people are willing to bring the capital to make infrastructure for the country. That is good. Now, it's also a question of how you agree, because if you don't manage those partners properly, they are going to exploit the city, the economy, to get their return. If they invest so much, say, in roads,
I think we have a caller just holding thought. Hello, where are you calling from?
It's cut. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to put clauses that are going to manage how they get their return. Suppose you put a PPO, you make a bridge a PP, somebody builds a bridge, and you let them charge the way they want to charge. They will exploit the country because their interest to get their money back. There should be a time frame. You don't charge so much. You get your money after so long. Because you just leave it open-ended. If I'm going to Kafiwe, I'll be forced to pay so much to cross the bridge because an investor built it. Yeah.
So, as we close, as we come to the end of our show, any last comments, Mr. Kingford? Any last questions, contributions?
Yeah, I think I just want to draw one more from you, Mr. Popapo. As a country, how are we managing the monetary policy versus the fiscal policy, and how is this significant to the economic development?
Look, I'm not happy the way we manage our fiscal and the monetary policy. We at a time that you budget to pay the foreign creditors and not paying them, but you are still borrowing. Why don't you stop borrowing at a time you're not paying the creditors? Because you've got a room. Now the borrowing is there every day. We see every now and then Bank of Zambia is borrowing money from the citizens. Of course, the local bond holders, they are being paid. Probably the money being borrowed is to repay the due date. But you cannot continue borrowing when you have got a leave of paying the creditors. Because what would happen, this is the time that we are supposed to live within our means.
Yeah,
because we don't have a much burden of paying the creditors. Yeah. So what will happen when you start paying the creditors? Wouldn't we be borrowing, we pay the creditors $100 million, then we borrow $200 million. When are we going to then dismantle the debt?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there actually any significant, there is linkage, but do we think this linkage is working between the fiscal policy and the monetary policy?
The monetary policy is mainly done by boards and
we have a caller. Hello, where are you calling from? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, my name is Kawe. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kawe, go ahead and make a contribution.
Yeah, that's a nice discussion. We appreciate what you are putting up for us.
Thank you.
Now, my concern is, are we aware that the investors that we have done, they have contracted
may be hindered to bring the same figures and image in the index. I was looking at this message of the minerals like nickel. That was a wonder. But when you look at the same nickel mine, which is between Kapirea and Zaboka, I've never heard anyone mention anything else. And the rest of this one, using the product that in 8,000 or so, it's that. That's good money. But that one has not been put up in any forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawe.
He's saying Nico mine?
These investors that are coming in, that contracted, I didn't really hear that part, but basically saying they're not being talked about. These mines, like the Nico mine between Kawe and... it's not being talked about yet. It's making
money.
That can help.
No, we know a lot of mines that are making money. Our problem is the money is not coming back. So we
don't have monetary mechanisms.
We don't have, the money is not coming back. What we are suffering from, what we want is, we want more foreign currency so that our kwacha is going to have more value, because we import a lot of things. We import more than we export. Sometimes they say we have exported more than we import because of the copper. Which copper, the money for copper sales does not come in. So in essence, we always import more than we export. The reason why sometimes they export more, the dollars don't come. Even if they say we have exported more than we've imported, but the dollars are not here. So in essence, we are always taking away more dollars than we receive.
But is there a way of like you mentioned, an SI?
Yeah, we need an SI. An SI that is going to let investors know that we need dollars in the country to stabilize our foreign currency, because we are importing a lot of things. We are importing fertilizers, medicines, and there are a few things that we manufacture in this country. If we have a favorable exchange rate, then we are going to be better off. Absolutely. Yes. The monetary policy is normally done by the central bank. No, the central bank, not just our central bank, we have a challenge, because whenever there is a crisis, like the way we have a crisis now in the world economy, the first thing the central banks do is to hike the interest rate. But they don't tell you that we want to hike the interest rate because we want to suck the money out of the economies. We want to suck so much so that if we hike the interest rate to say by 20 basis points, we are going to suck so much money from the economy by this time. They don't tell you. So they just keep on increasing the rate with a view of sucking. They don't have an instrument to measure that, to measure how that policy works after some time. You see, the central bank keeps on, our central bank keeps on increasing the rate whenever the interest rate, the inflation rate goes up. But there are a lot of things, variables, macro variables that bring about the inflation in the country. It's not just about the quantity of the kwacha that we have. But whenever the inflation rate goes up, after they have increased the interest rate, they claim credit. Even when they are telling you that we failed to suck the money from the economy. Because they will increase the interest rate this quarter. When they come, their objective there when they increase the interest rate is to suck the money, to discourage borrowing. Now they're going to come the next time they give you a brief the next quarter, they'll say the quantity of borrowing in the economy has increased. If the inflation rate went down, they're going to claim credit. But their action only works if at all they manage to suck the money from the economy. So,
which is temporal.
So they have failed to suck the money from the economy. But inflation has reduced, probably because of energy cost or the exchange rate that has gotten favorable. But they'll still claim credit. It happens to most of the central banks. So when you are increasing the cost of money, normally in developing countries, you cannot discourage borrowing because people are desperate. the billions are grounded. They will just get that money and try to pass on that cost to the consumers. So you increase the cost of money and inflation because you increase the interest rate. But because the energy cost has gone down, exchange rate has gone down, has improved, the inflation overall has come down. But you go and claim credit that no, it's because we increased the interest rate, that's why the inflation has come down, which is wrong. Yeah.
You have been watching the economic briefcase with us in the studio tonight. Has been a financial analyst, Mr. Nela Kopa, with my co-host, Mr. Kingford Kalobi. Make sure you have time next week to watch another episode of the economic briefcase. You have been watching the economic briefcase on Camnet TV. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Thank you.
Thank you.